What's up, guys? I got the keys here back with another video. So I want to talk about how God will put you through the opposing force before you get the blessing that you're asking for, right? So it's like when we ask for wealth, right? God's going to make us not always broke, but to the point where we understand what it feels like to not have money, what it feels like to um, have to struggle a little bit for, your maybe your check to check, just trying to make it. Um, but we don't realize that this is testing us in a way that, and I don't like to say testing, but it's what it is, right? So, it'll put us through these trials and errors of learning how money works and how to balance it and to keep that wealth, right? So it's the same thing with anything, like we ask for strength, and God will give us challenges to overcome and become stronger within ourselves. Um, so we could also look at, we ask for the better body, but we have to put the work in and take the challenges to create that body, right? And that means learning how to diet and how to watch your calories and how to, eat healthy, all of these things, right? So it's like all of these things, we have to see the opposite side of it first so that we understand what it's like for the opposing side, right? It's just like, coming to the light, you have to experience the darkness first, right? Um, and for a lot of people, that's how it goes. Is they experience a lot of pain and suffering because they're living through their ego, and we forget who we are when we come here, and um, but then eventually we realize that the light was within us the whole time, and that we can create our reality, right? We create our reality with God. And so um, it's it's all about, understanding that everything that you ask for, you have to experience the dark part of it first, or um the opposing side, right? So this could be with anything, and it could be, if you're looking for love, you might experience isolation, you might experience not having your, like, losing friends, you might experience um family members turning on you, um whatever, right? Because God's testing you to see if you'll be okay with just you, right? And when you learn to love yourself, then you can love another. And so all of those things that come in, and you feel like they're attacking you, well, it's not an attack. It's simply teaching you that all you need is you. And you know, don't get me wrong, you obviously need help from others sometimes, and that's okay. But in reality, everything is you. So when you understand that, and you really understand that, like, everything is literally within you, right? So we go through these trials and errors and learning and lessons, and to hold the bandwidth of what we're trying to bring in. And so, like I said, this could be money, this could be wisdom. Like, if you're looking for wisdom, right, you're looking for all this knowledge. um sure, you'll get the knowledge, but then you have to learn how to incorporate it, and you have to learn how to you don't just gain knowledge for no reason, right? You're going to want to end up spreading that to others. So you have to embody that knowledge, and you have to become the person that's able to hold all of that, right? So we ask for love, we ask for money, we ask for the dream relationship, we ask for the car. um but what does it take to get to that car, right? What does it take to get to that fancy apartment that you want? What does it take to get to reaching your goals, right? So it's like, every obstacle that comes to you is simply showing you a part of yourself, right, that may need healing, or that may need attention, right? So every part of your life has a purpose, right? And a lot of the times when we're when we're in that area of life, right? We see it as something that, oh, like this, why is God doing this to me? Blah blah blah. But you have to understand that we can't be all happy and rainbows and sunshine all the time. Okay. There's parts of life that are hard. There's parts of life that can be rough. There's parts of life that you feel like giving up, right? But when you stick through and you persist and you keep faith that everything is working out just like it's supposed to, I promise you, you're going to get exactly what you want. And just because it doesn't happen tomorrow or today or the next day doesn't mean it's not here. It just means that you're still learning, you're still learning to embody that person. You're still changing your identity, you're still changing your beliefs, right? And that's okay. And we do that all the time. So, you may want something and figure out you don't even want that, you know? I've had that happen before, but like I'm just going to give an example here. With me, I've been working on my wealth. I've been working on money, and removing money blockages and changing my beliefs around money. And I get these challenges of when I go to the grocery store and stuff, and I start seeing the bill go up, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm like, let's just calm down. It's just money. I was like, more will come, right? In the past, I would freak out about that, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm spending too much. But now I just go in, I get what I want, and I don't look. I try not to look at prices too much, right? I'm still working on that. But it's these little things that come in, and like before I said, with I broke my windshield. Um, and so, God was seeing, are you going to freak out about this, or are you going to trust that I already have it fixed? Right. And then I also had to deal with some tax stuff that was really putting me in a spiral in my mind, right? Of like, how am I going to achieve this? How am I going to figure it out? Right. But then I realized I don't have to figure it out. God already has it figured out. And so, as soon as I did that, I took a couple of deep breaths. I visualized all of the taxes being handled and, moving on with life. And I simply thank God for, I basically said, I'm grateful that you already have taken care of this for me. And I trust in your plan and that I don't need to fear anything. These are just typical life things. And, I could die tomorrow. So there's no point in me freaking out about some stupid thing, right? So, like I said, we get these challenges in our life to not to test, like I said, but like, it's just seeing where you're at, and it's also showing you some of the things that you may still believe within yourself, that you may need to change yet. And so it's a constant thing, and it's like we're not gonna always, like I said, be up and crazy happy, and life is all joy and blah blah blah, right? There's a spectrum of emotions, and we experience them all, and that's okay. You're allowed to feel lower emotions. You're allowed to feel your lower vibrational feelings, because if you didn't know the lower vibrational side of things, you wouldn't know the higher vibrational side of things. So, I've felt like what it's like to be completely poor and, almost losing my apartment. I've felt what it's like to have my car break and not be able to, figure out how I'm going to pay for it. But it all worked out in the end somehow. And um, so a lot of the times, our mind likes to try and think of how can we achieve this? How can I do this without the money? Blah, blah, blah. But there's so many miraculous ways that God can bring you these things, and instantly change your life, right? So just because it's not always overnight, um, doesn't mean you're not changing. So, remember that this is like the caterpillar changing into the butterfly, right? And so, you have to start changing yourself slowly and changing beliefs, changing your mindset, changing your identity of, okay, maybe I was, this person before and I had these insecurities, but I no longer believe in that. And, I trust in my inner self more than the outer self. So, again, everything in life has a purpose, and you should trust in that. You should um, fully believe that just because something is not going so great in life doesn't mean that it's not all working out in the end, right? Because I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but there's a lot of times where something went totally wrong in my life, but it led me to the best part of my life, right? Or better parts. And this is all the time. It's just it's part of it, right? Um, so just go with the flow, let things happen, and trust in yourself to figure it out, right? Um, and trust in God to give you the guidance to figure all of it out, right? You don't have to know everything right that moment. Even though things can seem more stressful within your mind, um, your soul knows the plan. Your soul knows what it needs to do and how it can get that message to you. So trust in that. And I hope that you found something truly, guiding and that helps you in this video. All of my links are in the bio. Um, so I'll see you guys in the next one, and peace.